the Mothman cult from Fallout 76. So if you want to hear any lore in particular, make sure you're in the Discord. Once a week I ask a question. First person to get the question right chooses lore. And this week's lore, like I said, is on the cult of the Mothman from Fallout 76. In the town of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, there is a mythical creature known as the half-man, half-moth, Mothman. Prior to the war, the Mothman had a large following from the likes of cryptid hobbyists to conspiracy theorists. The creature even had his own museum in Point Pleasant. Outside of local fame, the Mothman was not seen as for any worthy investigation of any part of the scientific community. I don't think cryptozoology is a real study of science. I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong. But I don't think it's like a recognized science like meteorology. Even as a simple legend, a mysterious cult of the Mothman emerged around the creature. They have many shrines dedicated to the Mothman all throughout West Virginia, even post-war. The cult existed long before the war, and they even believe that the Mothman had the ability to predict certain events. It's not on the wiki, this is just something I remember. It's believed that before any like natural disaster or attack of some sort, the Mothman is said to be present to predict it. So I think that someone said they saw the Mothman on like 9/11. I don't know. The Mothman killed Princess Diana. That's all I'm saying.
Assassinated JFK. He was on the tall grass.
Yeah, he's in the grassy knoll. Because of this, they often try to summon him. They believe that he brought blessings, immortality, and divinity. In October 22nd of 2077, a ritual was held to summon the Mothman. Brother Charles of the cult claimed to have succeeded, and the Mothman warned of a great flood to come the very next day, and they took this as a sign. I realize I didn't write this down because I don't think I had to, but the bombs drop October 23rd. Brother Charles told his cultist brothers and sisters, trying to save them, he wanted to take them into the Lucky Hole Mine. This splintered the group, and the opposing side chose to stand on the rooftops in Point Pleasant the next morning. A flood's coming. Do you go underground? Do you go on the roofs? The cultists in the mine survived. After they entered the mines, they built shrines and shanties. Shrines to the Mothman and the shanties to house the people. Jeff Lane left multiple holotapes behind, stating that the cult was starting to slowly deviate from worshipping the Mothman. And we get into a little bit of like the next part of my lore of what that is. But just like any good cult, they need to deviate. Lane refers to himself as the vessel for the interloper. Now, a thing that I've noticed with a lot of cults is that they just say like, hey, I am this person interpreting for that person. I'm not God, but I can talk to God. And then eventually down the line, it's, hey, remember what I said about me not being God? Talk to God. Turns out I'm God. The interloper, and we're going to get into this in a minute because I always say that the wiki is not written very well. And this is a prime example. This is an Amazon Prime example. The interloper was communicating to him telepathically. And this next part is almost verbatim. Anyone refusing to worship the interloper became a splinter sect called the Enlightened. And they would eventually leave West Virginia and settle a church known as the Lantern, leaving the dim one, red-eyed Mothman worshippers behind in Appalachia. Now, I just read that out loud with my brain, mouth, and eyes, and I'm still not entirely sure what that means. But I think the enlightened ones were the ones that... The enlightened ones are the ones that didn't think that the interloper was real. This is kind of where it's split. They either died or left because the only traces of the Mothman cult are the shrines that were left behind. and because 76 had to retcon its own lore, by 2103, the Dim One cultists came back to Appalachia. They believe this to be the holy ground and would destroy those who oppose their beliefs. The cult grew once again Point Pleasant, Clancy Manor, and the Kawanaha. It's West Virginia, so things are weird. There's like a lighthouse in the middle of nowhere. Kawanaha County Cemetery became their holy grounds, where they worshipped and believed that the Mothman would come to them. One cultist has mentioned that the return was somewhat motivated by the research of Dr. Wallace, who had written their doctoral thesis on moths in this region of the Appalachian Mountains. During the seasonal equinox, the enlightened returned to Point Pleasant to honor the purple-eyed Mothman, and the dim ones try to intervene. Now, I love me a good cult story. Those who might know, who've been here for a minute, might know I'm a big fan of the Heaven's Gate cult. I know it's like a weird thing to say out loud. The technology of the Mothman is very primitive in nature, using a combination of wood, bones, wire, leather, vines, and cloth to construct their armor and shrines. I'm reading some of this off the wiki. I get all of my lore off of fallout.fandom.com. They mostly prefer melee weapons using scraps of metal and black titanium to construct blades and crudely fasten them to different parts of deer bone and or antler as handles. Same thing kind of goes for their structure building. They take a pre-existing thing, Mothman it up, go about their business. That's about it. There's some stuff about the other cryptids that's in there, but we're not really here to talk about the Flatwoods Monster or the sloth, or the big frog. Big frog? That's an old school meme if you've been here for a minute. That's about it on the Mothman. That's lore.